When I sat down to do this video initially, I was going to talk about how Lando Norris has become my biggest surprise in 2021 with how he has utterly dominated the midfield and is pushing the front runners more than the midfield guys because so far he has left them far behind. But after another incredible performance in Austria, qualifying on the front row, behind Max Verstappen by less than half a tenth, and then in the race converting that into a P3 finish on the podium to claim his third career podium, to call him the biggest surprise of the season almost doesn't do him enough justice. This season, Lando has taken a monumental leap, and looking at how he's carried McLaren so far in 2021, should he now be considered in the very top echelon of drivers and with the likes of Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen? Firstly, let's talk about Lando's season so far, because although the performances and podiums have been amazing, the thing that I still can't quite believe is that we are 9 races into a 23 race season and pretty close to being halfway done. And yet, Lando Norris is still 4th in the championship and ahead of Valtteri Bottas. What's even more crazy after Austria is that he's actually made inroads in the championship, because he's actually closer to Checo in 3rd place than Valtteri is to Lando in 5th. At this point, and given what we've seen so far, and with the way Lando has been driving so far this season, I'm not completely ruling out that Lando could genuinely hold off Bottas and actually finish the season in 4th place. It's obviously a massive long shot, because just one win for Bottas would completely swing it the other way around, but even so, to be 4th in the standings after 9 races is unbelievable, and it just shows that Lando is driving at a supremely high level and easily the best of his career so far. The reason why I am making such a big deal out of Lando being in P4 is because this season he improved on the one thing that I thought he lacked in his first 2 seasons against Sainz. Going into 2021, I said that what he did against Carlos Sainz when they were teammates was really impressive, and it put him with some of the best drivers in the midfield. But the reason why I held back on saying that he is a 100% surefire world champion is because to be the best, you've got to be able to beat the best, and especially be able to beat your teammate. And every single season, Lando Norris finished just short of Carlos Sainz over the course of 2 F1 seasons. The quali speed was always there, and in the races there were glimpses of brilliance with great finishes and podiums, but the thing that I felt that he lacked compared to the absolute top drivers who are capable of fighting for titles was consistency. That's what he lacked in his first 2 seasons, and that's what gave Sainz the edge, even if Lando arguably was the quicker driver in terms of raw pace. This season, however, that box has been checked, and there is no doubt about that. Lando Norris, after 9 races and out of the 20 drivers on the grid, he is the only driver to finish in the points in every single race so far this season. That is consistency, and that is the main reason why he is still up in P4 and has been arguably the best driver so far, alongside Max Verstappen. Now, really quickly before we continue talking about the brilliance of Lando Norris, once again, just under 80% of the people who are currently watching this video are not yet subscribed to the channel, so if you are enjoying this video or have enjoyed some of my other videos on the channel, then don't forget to drop a sub, as we are now less than 2,000 subscribers away from the big 100,000, which will be absolutely mental. Anyway, let's get back into the video. The next thing that has to be talked about is his #1 rival, and as with every single driver, first and foremost is his teammate. Now, going into 2021, I was one of the people that said this season would be a career-defining one for both of these drivers. For Ricciardo, if he finally wanted to challenge for a world title for the first time in his career and be the man at McLaren, he would need to beat Lando Norris and kind of assert himself as the unofficial #1 at the team. And as for Lando, if he could finally be a driver of Ricciardo's quality in the same car, then that would signify a huge huge step up for him in terms of where he would be ranked amongst the best drivers on the grid. Now, I am a huge fan of these drivers both on and off the track, so this conversation hurts me right here, but Lando Norris has been slapping up Daniel Ricciardo so far and carrying the team on his back, almost kind of similar to the way that Max was doing at Red Bull over the past few years. I must be honest, I did not see this coming, but the way Lando every single race is delivering and piling on that pressure on Ricciardo is a sign of a world champion. There are no easy seasons, and it's not easy mentally to go up against the likes of Lewis and Max, because their consistency and just the way in which you can feel that the team is wrapping around them due to their success can really be hard to overcome for a teammate, and Lando is having the same effect now at McLaren. I do sense that at McLaren, and especially behind the scenes, there is a bit of a strange dynamic at the moment, because with Daniel Ricciardo coming into the team and replacing Carlos Sainz, many people thought that he would be an upgrade and would even bolster their driver lineup this season, but whilst Lando is maximizing everything out of the car this year and using his experience at the team and with the car to get around any problems, on the other side of the garage, Daniel Ricciardo is clearly not at 100% with the car and with his confidence, and so I think Zak Brown and Andreas Seidel, who are proving to be some of the best operators and team principals on the grid, are having to carefully manage their two drivers to make sure that Daniel Ricciardo doesn't feel like he's being treated differently to Lando Norris. In terms of Lando Norris, this is something that is completely out of his control because his job is to just fully focus on himself. Although I would love to get a real answer and not a media answer in terms of what's going on inside his head when he sees a driver of Daniel Ricciardo's quality struggle in the same car. Nevertheless though, he still needs to make sure that he keeps this psychological edge over Ricciardo for the rest of the season, because if they can then both fight for the title in 2022, even though you can never count out Daniel Ricciardo, I think we've got to say that at this stage, Lando Norris would be favourite between the two of them. So, after an unbelievable start to the season in which he is still in the mix with two drivers in race-winning cars, has Lando Norris proven that he is on the same level and now in that echelon of drivers with Hamilton and Verstappen right now? Well, what has to be said right away is that all of this depends on how he finishes the season. At the very least, he's got to hang on to 5th in the championship, and he can't afford to dip off in the second half of the season and let the likes of Leclerc, Sainz and Ricciardo catch and overtake him. The thing about Max and Lewis, and why I've said in the past that F1 is them two at the absolute top and then everyone else, is the fact that they haven't been on this level in just 2021 or even in 2020. They have been the best drivers on the grid in the best teams on the grid for years. Lewis at the moment is on a 4 World Championship streak, and Max, to me, has been on Lewis's level ever since 2019. It's always difficult for me personally to rate drivers alongside Lewis and Max because the other drivers have not had race-winning cars, and also because it's one thing to have a breakout season, it's another to be almost untouchable in terms of speed and consistency for year after year. That's what Lewis and Max have done, and that's the bar that they have set for the rest of the grid. But Lando has been so amazing and so dominant in that midfield that no one can say that if he was given a Red Bull, that he wouldn't be pushing Max for the World Championship this season. To be honest, I'm sure that you can say the same thing for Sainz, Leclerc, and maybe even Ricciardo at his absolute best, but to me this season, Lando seems to have gained Carlos Sainz's experience and judgment in the races whilst maintaining that incredible quali speed, and he hasn't been as hot-headed and mistake-prone as Charles Leclerc. In the end, his performances have shown that regardless if he's on the same level as Lewis and Max, Lando Norris, the World Championship contender, has arrived. And now McLaren need to justify their progress under Zak Brown and Andreas Seidel by delivering him a World Championship capable car in 2022. If they don't, and as hard as it might be to believe given how close Lando is to the team, a driver of his caliber over the next few years who's hungry and ready to win races and titles right now against the very best on the grid won't want to be just the number one in a team that keeps on promising lots, but delivering very little. So there you have it, that is my video on Lando Norris. Now let me know all of your thoughts in the comments box below in terms of Lando's season so far, and is he on the level of Lewis and Max in your opinion? Anyway guys, I hope you did enjoy this video, and if you did, then don't forget to drop a like and smash that subscribe button. As I said, we are so close to that 100k, so yeah, hopefully we get there soon, and guys, I will see you in the next one. Bye guys.